For decades, the journalists Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, Bill O'Reilly, and Mark Halperin appeared in front of cameras and tried to help Americans understand the country and one another. Now that they've lost their jobs after multiple accusations of sexual abuse, we are left wondering what they taught us. What did we collectively learn from Harvey Weinstein, the producer who chose which movies we saw, shaping our views of art and our ideals of beauty? Or from Louis C.K., who abused some women and excluded others from comedy projects, even as he made us laugh? How much did the abuse of women, often younger, subordinate, or not famous by powerful male journalists, factor into the stories they told us? What did we learn about power, politics, accountability, elections, or even about Hillary Clinton, the first female presidential candidate from a major party? Two men with this much disregard for women chose the stories seen by 8.5 million people, largely female, every morning for years. Janice Min, a partial owner and former editor of The Hollywood Reporter, wrote on Twitter on Wednesday, in a reference to M.R. Lauer and M.R. Rose, think about the damage. There also are those apparently uninterested in examining how such behavior might have affected the work at all. The media personality Geraldo Rivera responded to reports of M.R. Lauer's sexual abuse by referring to journalism as a flirty business. But one episode from the 2016 election cycle has been held up as a stark example, raising yet another question: what did the public internalize about Mrs. Clinton when M.R. Lauer, a journalist best known for behaving like a fatherly scamp for NBC's Today program, interrupted her at a presidential forum to tell her to be brief while explaining a policy decision? In the interview, which was widely panned at the time, M.R. Lauer extensively questioned Mrs. Clinton, a Democrat, about her use of a private email server. He failed to aggressively press Donald J. Trump, then the Republican nominee, about his policy views or challenge him on falsehoods. Mrs. Clinton addressed the interview in her book, What Happened, calling M.R. Lauer's interview a pointless ambush. Mrs. Clinton also took issue with M.R. Lauer's handling of M.R. Trump. You've had a very different background in business, M.R. Lauer told M.R. Trump as he prefaced a question. So nobody would expect you to have taken over the last 20 years really deep dives into some of these issues. On Wednesday, M.R. Lauer was fired after several women said he had targeted them for abuse, including one woman who said he sexually assaulted her until she passed out. There is no way to say what M.R. Lauer's motivations were during his interview with Mrs. Clinton. He may have interrupted and questioned her extensively because she was the more experienced candidate and presumed front-runner. But that interview reads differently to many now, as do M.R. Lauer's other on-camera interactions with powerful women that seemed garden-variety sexist or purely boneheaded at the time. In 2014, M.R.